Hey everyone, so today we're going to get into the dark technical side of the optical world. So I hope you're ready for a little bit more technical stuff than normal. But this is one, it's come up time and time again. You know about it if you've ever looked at ordering glasses or you've ever seen the funky little device or the measuring things, all this fun stuff. What I'm talking about is the PD or the pupillary distance. So let's have some fun with that one today. Alright, so what you get is me without glasses today because I can't with the frame and stuff. Alright, so the long-standing mythical guarded secret, the thing that everybody talks about, nobody wants to give you, and everybody is angry about because you're going to take these and you're going to run away and you're going to buy the $5 glasses online and that's all there is to it. Right? That's, yeah, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, I don't know, I don't care. The problem here is all of the errors that can pile up in this, and the fact that realistically a precision pair of glasses does not revolve around just the PD. Sure, the PD, the refraction, they can get you by. You can get something you can see with, it works. It's not optimal, and I mean, I guess you kind of know that at the price point. You're not paying for the top quality in the world when you're buying glasses for 20 or 100 bucks online, right? But here's the key. So when it comes to the PD, you've probably seen it taken with one of these, maybe one of these, or maybe something really even way fancier than either of these things, or maybe even something lower tech. You do it with a pen and a marker and a flashlight, or a light and a marker, or whatever floats your boat for the day. But real quick, especially if you're trying to do it yourself to take for online, let's run over here to the mirror. So you've got this guy here, and I'm trying to look at this 6 different ways while I'm doing it. But you can see we've got the numbers across here and where the eyes are. And real quick, even doing this video, you can see where the problem is going to come into play. So looking straight ahead, you know, even looking straight at the camera, straight on, straight ahead, any movement of this camera, you can see we're talking about several millimeters of error just with a very tiny movement of the camera. So it's really hard to get that exactly right. The easiest way to probably attempt to do this yourself is if you already have a pair of glasses, you can put those on and throw a dot on the lens. And I'm not dotting my lenses today because I just don't feel like getting the aggressive cleaner out on my own lenses today. It's that kind of day, I'm sorry. But it does take a certain kind of pen to write on AR coatings. Usually any sort of felt tip marker, you can get them. The problem is they're like $5 alone. If you're paying $20 for a pair of glasses, that kind of defeats the point. But the easiest way to do this, you can rest your hand right on the thing. You're gonna look straight into the mirror and dot your eye, and dot your eye. The big thing, as I mentioned, is you wanna look straight ahead, but the problem there is, aside from the parallax errors I talked about before, I really need to get a gimbal, is now, I know I said I wasn't going to, but I did mark on these. You can see I've got my little black dots. Let's measure that and see. I'm a 31-33. Let's see what we got here. So on my frames, I have not made any changes. I've switched the camera around. These dots are still where you saw me put them. So we'll take our little ruler, we'll line up the mark here, we'll line up the mark here. And that was 65. So we're getting right there at 65 millimeters, 64 and a half. Not too far off, but I kind of do this for a living. I've done it 1,000,001 times. But that is going to be the most accurate, probably the easiest way for you to get your own. The key there is look at the distance. Don't focus specifically on the mirror. If you're looking in the mirror, look at the eye you're dotting. It's going to be the easiest way to do that. But you guys know this is about to get a lot more complicated, right? I said it was going to be techie today. This isn't anything too crazy, but I did want to talk about this. So, without trying to make your brains hurt too darn much, we're going to talk about this. This is what we know as Prentice's rule. We're going to take a 2-sphere lens just because the math is darn easy, and a lot of people are around 2 diopters of power, whether it's plus or minus, and it's just easy to work with. So a minus lens, you're going to have 2 triangles of prism essentially. It's going to be base out to base out, and a plus lens, you're going to have the same thing. We already talked about that. You're going to have the same thing except base to base. So a nice little triangle there. In an ideal situation, those are going to line up dead center on both lenses without error. But as we talked about, there are some errors that can compound pretty quickly, and this doesn't even get into all the other measurements, which are panto, vertex, and all sorts of other fun fit measurements that most people don't even take or calculate. And when these things don't line up, bad things happen. Now obviously you're not going to go blind, you're not going to lose your vision. I'm not talking about anything that bad, but as you do get away from this, so you've got 1 millimeter of error. In this case, if it's a millimeter out this way, you're going to have 0.2 diopters of induced prism. Now say you're off a millimeter in both eyes. Now you've got 0.4 diopters of prism induced. And once you start getting up around a diopter, even around a half diopter in really sensitive people, it just doesn't feel good. It's at least uncomfortable. And as that gets bigger and bigger, it can cause eye strain, headaches, even double vision if it gets far enough apart that the eyes can't fuse it. It's definitely not a comfortable thing to experience, and it is an absolute miserable thing to experience. Now this works in all directions because, truth be told, a -2 sphere lens looks more like this, where that whole base keeps the power at -2 at the center. Any way you move it is going to move that prism base. Isn't that lovely? And same thing here, but this one you can actually see as long as I just draw the extra. There you go. Now you've got a whole bunch of triangles of prism. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to make your head spin at least a little bit because I can this time. And we're getting a little bit longer video, and I hate to do this to you guys, but that's what we're going to do. So once you've got this, and the same thing in the plus lens, except it's going to be base in. Now what happens as light travels through a have fun with it, guys. It is, Lord, I can't remember today if it's deviated towards the base or the apex. It's deviated, I believe, towards the base. Lord, you guys have killed me. Now I gotta check that. Okay, in my head I got stuck on the but I was still correct. So light is deviated towards the base. So if you're looking at an image that is over here and it is coming through a prism, that is going to move the image that way if the prism is like that. So again, it really is a thing of discomfort more than anything, unless you get into some really, really strong ones. Now, I work with a lot of high myopes. We get up around, this is pretty common for me, is a -6 sphere power. I have done a lot well beyond that, but this is probably one of my more common prescriptions. I got a lot of people from -4 to -9, and a whole bunch fall into this -6 area. But anyways, what that amounts to is, now we do the same math. You've got 0.6 diopters per millimeter. Every millimeter of movement is going to be 0.6 diopters. Now, if you're off even a millimeter in each eye, isn't that fun? A whole diopter and a quarter of induced prism now. Depending on the direction, this can be a good or a bad thing. Now, some people, we've determined that a lot of people can benefit from a little bit of prism base in, because this helps convergence. It helps improve depth perception. It's going to help with reading a little bit. So there's some things to be said there. Don't go messing with these numbers just because I've told you this to try and improve things. Leave that to the optometrists that know exactly what they're doing and exactly what these numbers do and how it affects your visual system as a whole. Now, that little device I showed earlier, this guy, is prone to errors as well. Not only rounding errors that can have it off by as much as a half diopter to begin with, but looking at the eyes, it uses a little light. And I can't turn my camera, but I have plenty of bright lights around here, oh, the pretty blue glasses, to show how that works. So basically, we line up little marks right over the center of that yellow reflex point. And yeah, there we can. This is back to what I'm talking about earlier in the video. If I actually focus right here on the phone, look how far off those dots are. This is a lovely demonstration. I should have marked these up to begin with. Anyways, I'm not going to take too much more time from you guys. I think we're a little over 10 minutes now. That's enough brain explosions for Dave. If you want to see more about this topic, I will be happy to discuss it until I turn blue in the face. That's not hard to do. If you liked this or you got something good out of it, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to hearing what you guys thought of this video, if it helped you out, if it didn't, if it made your brain break. I broke my brain in the middle of the video, and I do this every day. I'll see you guys next time.